How is she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's workshop. Well, another nice day here at the lake, and we got some more cleanup to do. But you know what? I was cleaning up the trees that kind of blew down with the storm with Fiona. Well, not kind of blew down; they did blow down. There's lots of them to clean up, and I had my chainsaw. It's a Husqvarna 55, nice saw, but it's quite old, and I couldn't get my saw started. So I tugged and pulled and pulled and tugged, and no matter what I did, wouldn't start. So I took to the shop, did a few tests, found out that the compression on it was about 8 pounds. So I think the engine's toast. In the meantime, I need to cut some trees. So look what I got. So I figured it's time to get a new saw, I guess. The poor old Husqvarna, we laid it to rest. I was troubled as what kind of a saw I should get. I like the Huskies. They're nice saw, but the 55 was, I used to have trouble trying to get that started. It was always a chore to start it, but once you got it going, it would run good. So I thought, well, this time I'm going to try a Stihl. You hear lots of talk about Stihl. So I went to town to buy myself a saw, and this was now 3 days. Let me see, Fiona was on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. This would have been on a Tuesday, so 4 days after the storm, I went to town to buy a chainsaw in northern Nova Scotia, where if you had a tree in your yard, it was blowing over. So saws are hard to find. First place I went to, they were on order. They said they take about 45 days to come in, and they would put my name on the list. But I said I needed the saw this afternoon, so that didn't work out. Anyways, I ended up going to a spot. It was a John Deere dealer. Ooh. But anyway, that's all right. When I went in the store, they had no power in the store, right? So I said, well, I guess I'm not going to buy a saw here either. But the buddy in the store, it was kind of funny. The buddy in the store said, oh yeah, we got chainsaws, but we don't have any bars for them. And I said, well, with chainsaw with no bar, I'm better off with what I have. And he kind of laughed. And just then, a guy came out from the shop, and he said, we just put a bunch of bars on some saws. So yeah, we do have chainsaws with bars. So I said, great. So buddy asked me what kind of a saw am I looking for, and I had done some searching online before I went out to buy a saw, and I kind of had my mind set on an MS250, but I wanted to see some different saws in that range. Now, you have to think about this. We're sitting in this store, and at the front of the store where his counter is, service counter, and his cash register and all, he has no light. It's just the light that's coming in through the window. They had a generator running enough to get their Wi-Fi up and running, and they were using their cell phone signal to do their interneting. So it was interesting, kind of comical. So I said, yeah, I'm kind of looking at a 250. In the back of the shop where the saws were displayed was black. Like you could see the exit sign glowing above the door. That was all you could see in the shop. So he said, yeah, we got some 250s. So we went down to the back of the shop, and I followed him very close so I wouldn't get lost. And he grabbed this 250, or he grabbed this saw off the rack, walked up to the front of the store, looked at it. He said, yeah, this is a 250. So he handed it to me. So here's the saw. It's an MS250. He handed it to me, and he said, what do you think of that? And I said, well, it's a 250, just like it shows in the pictures. He said, yeah, that's it. So is that the one you want? So I said to him, okay, buddy, I'm going to take this saw. How much is it? He says, this saw is $459 plus tax. And I said, oh, well, what kind of a deal can you give me? He said, I can't give you any deal, sorry. And I said, well, I bet you for that price. He said, I said, I never want to buy anything at the list price. I got to get a deal on it. So I said, at least you could throw in a chainsaw file, right? And he said, oh, yeah, I can throw in a file for you, no problem. And I said, great, I'll take it. So he went back to the counter, and he rung it all up and took all the information and put everything together and gave me the bill, and I paid it. When I got home, I'd taken the saw out of the bag, and I was going through my bill of sale, and the bugger charged me $2.50 for the file. He said he'd throw it in, and that's exactly what he did. He threw it in the box and charged me $2.50. So I didn't get a deal on this saw. But anyways, I did buy an MS250 chainsaw, and this is it. Now this is only a 16-inch bar. Well, it's not even a 16-inch bar. It says it is, but you only get about 14 inches of cut because the 16 inches goes right back to the drive wheel. But it comes with a nice manual, of course, with any kind of information in there that you'd ever want to see, hear, or read about for a chainsaw. But why did I buy the Stihl over the Husqvarna? Basically, like I had said, I had tried Husqvarnas and I was pleased with them. I know lots of guys who have Stihl saws and they think they're the answer. So I said, I'm going to get a Stihl just to see if there is any difference. Now I haven't used this saw a lot. My son used it a week or so ago and he cut all day with it, thought it was great. He said my arms weren't tired, my shoulders weren't tired. He says cutting overhead's a little bit of a chore because it is pretty heavy. I think it's like well, I forget what it weighs. It'll tell you in the book there. Well, I may as well look. Just bear with me till I search this out. There must be a specification page here somewhere. So, alright, here's some things on the specs before I tell you the weight. It's 45.4 cc's, this saw, 2.2 horsepower. To me, the 250 was the biggest little saw I could afford, alright? Because I consider this a little saw. It's not a professional model. This is, I think they claim, they rate this as like a landscaping and, no, homeowners and maintenance saw or something like that. The weight here, it says it's 4.6 kilos. So what's that, about 9 pounds? Probably. Feels heavier than 9 pounds to me, but I'm old. So anyway, yeah. So that's it. Now, when I bought the saw, when I got it home, first thing I did was I took it all apart, right? So here we go. You just flip that button. Oh, the choke has to be on. So you flip that button and off comes the cover, and then the air cleaner just snaps out. Like that. Okay, also on these saws, like on most good saws, there's this little gizmo here, and this is a summer-winter feature, so that was set up for winter. You turn it like this. No, sorry, that was set up for summer. You turn it like this for winter. So I'm going to just turn this over right now because we're getting into the winter season. And what that does is allows the warm air from the cylinder to blow into the carburetor and just helps with combustion. All right, so that was all okay. I like that. I checked the parts numbers and made sure that I knew what the part was if I ever had to get another one. See if I can get this back on here now. There we go. And one other thing that's nice about Stihl, and I don't know if this is the case in Husqvarna or not because I never checked on a Husqvarna, but you don't need tools to get into anything, right? Like that's just a button that turns. All right, now in order to get that off, I did a little fiddling here and farting with this choke control. This choke control is interesting. I got the saw home, and it was dark by the time I got home, so I just set it here in the garage. The next day I went out, and I got the saw, and I read about how to start it. It says you have to push this down to full choke. Well, it wouldn't go to full choke. So then you read the instructions again. It says you have to pull in the throttle. In order to pull the throttle, you have to push down in that safety feature there, and then you push it down all the way, and then you pull it till it barks. Well, no, it says you pull it until it, sounds like it's going to start, and then you move this to the half choke position. So when I pushed this throttle button, it wouldn't go to the half choke position. I thought, darn, this saw is broke already. Did I break something when I took the cover off? So, oh, by the way, when I took the cover off, I also took the plug out, checked the plug number and everything like that, made sure it was gapped correctly. Things like that, so I could get the right parts and pieces when I need them. So I thought, what did I do to it? Don't tell me I buggered it, because this choke wouldn't move. I could move it by hand, but it wouldn't move with the button. And then once you put it in the half choke, then it'll click up to the full choke. Oh, what is going on? I was thinking. So I read the instructions. I read them 2 or 3 times, and to be honest, the instructions, it's probably the reader at fault here, but I found the instructions were hard to understand. But like I say, that could just be me. As it turns out, this saw does starts great. In fact, in the book it says, oh, just 1 second, I'm going to read to you what it says in the book. Just hold on again until I find the section. So this is right in the book on page 28. Starting and stopping the engine. Okay, here's what it says. Warning, warning. This machine is extremely simple and easy to start, even for children. Warning, the first thing you read, look at, warning, warning. I couldn't start this saw. I pulled on it all that day, couldn't start it. I was upset. Oh man, it was. So anyways, put the saw on the bench, went back into camp, started doing something else. The next day I come out and I said, I'm going to get this saw started if it kills me. So the way I finally got this saw to start, and the way I discovered how this saw starts, and it is very, very easy to start, even for children. You put your choke down, pull in the trigger, push it all the way down to the full choke position. And then you pull it, I don't know, 5 times, no more than 5 times. No more than 5 times, right? And after 5 pulls, you move it to the half choke position, and then you pull it and start it like a normal chainsaw, like for me, a normal chainsaw. You pull it until it barks and coughs, and then once it does that, you click her on no choke, and it should start up and run, and then you slowly idle it up, and you know, till it starts to run good. That was the key with this saw. I was a while to find that out. They don't start like, for me, what a normal chainsaw would be. So once again, you pull the throttle, push full choke. You pull it no more than 5 times. Trick there, no more than 5 times. Then you move to the half choke position, then you pull it till it barks, and then click off, and go back to like no choke, and then start it, and then, you know, slowly feather it until it starts to idle smooth. Anyway, that's it. That's the story of my new Stihl saw. It's a 16-inch bar, like I say, 0.325 chain, takes a 7/16 file. I think that's what it was, 7/16. It's a nice saw, and it's not as heavy as a Husqvarna, but it feels good, it's balanced nice, and it cuts nice. I cut a little bit with it, and yeah, it just goes straight through the wood, no problem. I like the shape of the bar. Now this is a funny thing. You may say, well, what difference does the shape of the bar make? I don't know that it makes any kind of a difference. In fact, I think it does make a little bit of a difference. And the difference is very, very minute, but there's a fatter nose on it. So I'm thinking, you know, the kickback's not going to be as great. The bar seems wider. I like the shape of the bar. It just looks like a saw that's designed to cut. You know, and don't, like say, 16-inch bar, so you only get about 15 inches of cut. So anyway, all in all, so far I'm happy with my saw once I figured out how to start it. Like when I read the instructions, I should have just went and got one of the grandkids to come and try and start it. But anyway, I got her going. It's easy to adjust. Now, chain adjustment has come a long way too since my Husqvarna saw. Some of these chain adjusters that are out here, instead of having fuss on the inside, you know, like a lot of them on the Husqvarna, there's a screw adjustment in here in the bar, and you got to get in there, and it's always filled with sawdust. Where these ones, it's sitting right out here in the front. It's got just a plastic chain catcher on it. Well, it's plastic, whatever this material is. It is plastic, but it's super stiff and hard. So it must be hardened of some sort. But anyway, on the Husqvarna, the chain catcher was removable. And I caught a lot of chains with that because, you know, chains get loose, next thing you know, they're flying off the bar on you. So that was good because I could get a new chain catcher. This one, I'm thinking, whenever this one messes up, I'm going to have to get a whole new size cheek piece here. But anyways, it came with a scrunch, of course all chainsaws do. The scrunch fits these bolts nice, and the spark plug fits on there okay. Another thing I like about Stihl saws are the fuel and the oil caps. You don't need any special kind of tooling to get into them. They just flip up and pull out like that. Now, I've seen reviews and stories about, oh, I hate the Stihl because of these button caps, but to be honest, I like those, eh? And they also have the idiot marks on them, so that you know, like this big line points down to the locked sign, so you know that they're on there and locked good. It's easy to pull. There's a fair amount of compression, but it's pretty easy to pull. So that's it. That's about all I can say about the Stihl MS250. So far I'm liking it. I haven't used it a whole lot though, so it's kind of an unfair. I'm not prepared now to do a full, in-depth, hard-hitting, fact-finding review on it. But I think it's going to be a good saw. And now that I know how to start it, it makes a big difference. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. Sure appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.